And joining us now for a decent catch-up, Cameron Bailey from Harcourt's Gold, Papanui Real Estate. Good to see you, Cameron. Are you well?
Yeah, I'm really good, mate. How are you?
Very well, thank you, sir. It's been too long, and I've been discussing with my friends and family, now that I'm old, at the property market across Christchurch, and I can't understand whether things are going good, whether things are going fast, whether it's steady as she goes. How are things tracking across the Canterbury market when it comes to selling a home? Let's cover that off first.
Well, the market in general, Chris, it's still pretty good at the moment. It's what I call quite a fair market out there. There's a lot of talk about interest rates at the moment. Obviously, in the last few weeks, the interest rates have come back a small amount. Um, and there's a lot of people talking about that's going to change the market and prices are going to start going up soon. I don't believe that's going to happen. It's certainly changed optimism out there. So people aren't fearful that we're going to have higher and higher interest rates. So that's been a good thing, but it's certainly not changing the market prices. Interesting stat at the moment. I've just looked at our sales board in our Papanui office. So we're the top sales office in New Zealand for Harcourts. And we've done 58 listings for the month and we've done 28 sales. So that's in the 14 days. Usually we're doing very similar sales to listings. So usually we'd expect to be up around the 50 sales for the month. But what it's meaning is just more stock out there. So I think there's been a lot of people that have maybe not sold their house in the last few years that have suddenly put them on the market. And as a buyer, you've got three or four different houses to choose from. So as a seller, it keeps you really honest. You've got to get the price right to get sold at the moment. So I think with that happening, and it feels like there's still quite a lot of pain out there. Business people that I'm talking to, they're still finding it tough out there in the economy, and why that's happening. I don't think prices will go up in the next year or so. So it's a good market, but there's just a lot of choice for buyers out there. So if you're not realistic on price or you're not selling with the right process, it could be tough.
It's interesting you say this because anecdotal evidence, just from what I'm seeing across Christchurch, I am noticing it does seem like there are more houses for sale. I might be driving down a street down Hallswell and I go, wow, that house is for sale. Didn't see that coming. There does seem to be that kind of vibe at the moment. But is that kind of just typical before Christmas now that we get into better weather though?
Yeah, it is spring. I mean, that's the typical rush. We always say in real estate, 1st of September, the tap gets turned on and everyone sells their house. But I just think more often than usual at the moment, we've got more stock than probably what we've had the last few years. So there's still buyers out there. It's not doom and gloom, but there's just a lot of choice. It's not a bad thing, but it's just something to be aware of.
Because there are a lot of houses for sale at the moment, does that necessarily mean good news for buyers, or does it mean there's going to be a lot of negotiation in the works between buyer and seller?
It's probably good news for buyers at the moment. I mean, we've had quite a few properties over the weekend that have had no one through their open homes.
Is that right?
Yeah, several of them. So,
Wow.
and that's just because they've been on the market for a few weeks. They've got four or five other houses that are comparable in the location. So the buyers have already been through. So they need to get a sharp and shiny price on them to get sold and attract the buyers back. So the buyers are there, but they're just more fussy on what they buy and what they pay. There's still quite a few people out there that if you purchased a house in the last 2 or 3 years, you might be struggling to get your money back. That's happening quite a lot at the moment. So, from that point of view, it's possibly a really good time to buy. Like we're at the bottom cycle of the market. I don't necessarily think prices will come back anymore, but I think it's a great time to buy because you're at the bottom cycle of it. Investors are slowly starting to come back into the market. We haven't seen them in the market because interest rates have been too high, but they're definitely coming back in, and they're looking for opportunities.
I was just thinking, Cameron, it seems like over the last 2 years that you and I have been speaking about the real estate market, it has been, things have changed so fast, don't you think? Or is it just because I am not in the real estate market, so I think that? But it just seems like it's all over the place and probably a good thing to keep you on your toes, you know?
Yeah, they talk about a new market every 7 weeks, but the real estate market can move so quickly. It only takes an announcement with interest rates or something to happen overseas in America, and it puts a bit of a shock across the market. So we have to be pretty fleet-footed, really. We have to be prepared to change processes and talk to owners. We're working really hard at the moment to get houses sold. I mean, we're hunting for buyers and we're working hard to get the best prices we can.
I just want to talk about you were talking about business confidence earlier, and that hasn't been as strong as what we expected. I know a lot of businesses are saying make it out. There's some kind of saying make it out till 2024 and then 25 or something.
There's
What do you think? Go ahead.
there's that saying that people have been using: "Stay alive to 25."
Yes, that's that's the one. Gee, I was miles out. So if we do stay alive to 2025, Cameron, what do you anticipate may happen next year? Why is 2025 looking better?
I still think much the same next year, to be honest. I don't
Right.
think it'll go up or down. I think that, with interest rates, a lot of people have locked in a rate for the next 6 months or a year. So even though interest rates today have come back a little bit, they're still stuck with their slightly higher rates. Even I locked in one of my mortgages for, I think it was 18 months or something like that a year ago. So I'm still stuck with that rate now, even though I could probably get a cheaper rate at the bank. But I just think people just don't have as much money washing around as what they did 2 or 3 years ago. They've been a little bit more careful with what they spend. They're not going out for dinner as much. They're not buying all those extra things as much. I mean, I was speaking to a guy that owns a bicycle shop and he sells sports bikes, and he said, look, he's still doing well, but he's just having to work really hard for his sales. And I think that's the same across all industries. People have just pulled back what they're spending and just been a little bit more careful and cautious what they do with their cash.
Really interesting, honest insight, Cameron. It's been really nice to speak with you. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. See you next time.